So, two hitmen kill a guy, and then when they go to get paid, one of the hitmen gets killed in a setup. They got double crossed. Turns out that the guy these two hitmen just killed was an ex cop who got disgraced because he was corrupt. And his ex partner comes to town not to find out who killed him, but to find out who else he was involved with. He wants to get to the guys at the top of the chain. So, surviving hitman and out of town cop come together, and you get your buddy cop movie. Well, your buddy criminal movie. And apparently, action ensues. Okay, start of the movie. Uh, your hero is a guy named Jimmy Bobo, uh, played by Sylvester Stallone. This is your typical Sylvester Stallone role. There's no acting surprises. He's as good as he is in any movie. He is a hitman who he tries to wisecrack like your standard buddy movie thing, but the thing is that see the cop is Asian, and most of the wisecracks that Stallone comes up with in the movie are anti-Asian remarks, and the movie actually because of that comes off as pretty racist, especially considering that when the cop tries to wisecrack back, A, he's not funny, and B, only once does he make anything even close to an Italian remark, and it's not even like vaguely offensive. Whereas most of the things that Stallone is saying are really offensive, so the movie actually comes off as pretty racist against Asians. Um, Second, you have the fact that the cop himself, who we'll call the ally in this film, the cop is freaking useless. He doesn't do anything until the end when you have your final action blowout. Then he's got a gun and he's shooting people. Until that moment, his entire contribution to the film is that occasionally he pulls out his cell phone and calls back to Washington, D.C., where someone on the other end of the line gives him useful information. So he's not even like being a detective. His contribution to the entire investigation is to get on the phone and have somebody else do the work. He's freaking useless. He's completely useless. Um, your villain is this guy named Morel, who is a an African real estate villain, and he's not scary or intimidating. He's just there, and he's evil, yeah, but it's a real estate scheme, and you've got all these bodies falling over what land? It's not doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, I'm sure it happens, not like this, but it happens. But still, that many people didn't need to die for a corrupt land deal. Sorry. Um, for not so much the traditional mentor, but your guiding presence, your morality uh, staple. Stallone's character has a daughter named Lisa, who's a tattoo artist to former pre-med student who she's all right. She's not bad in the movie. She's not an annoying character. She seems to be the moral center of the film, mainly because she's more moral than Stallone, although she's nowhere near as obliviously goody two shoes as the cop. The cop is just like, sooner or later, I'm gonna have to deal with your father. But he's like, first of all, at no point in time do you believe that he's actually capable of dealing with Stallone. And if he does, he's just going to end up in a body bag because Stallone is a true badass in this film. Um, for other enemies, you have this guy named Keegan, who is played by Jason Momoa from Stargate Atlantis. He was the new Conan. Jason Momoa is great in this film. He is a really good screen villain. He is really good in all of his action sequences. I really liked him in this film. He's probably the best part of this film. Um, Keegan is also a dark side of Stallone. He is an evil hitman, really. Now the upside of this film is the action is great. The action is a lot of fun. That's the only upside. The downside of this film is it's very racist towards Asians, and There's way too much shaky cam. It's actually really bad. And the third act of the film is one, extremely cliche. It's like every, you know, action movie in the 80s had the same ending. At the end of the movie, I mean, it's a spoiler, but, kidnap a family member. I mean, every movie from the 80s, from Lethal Weapon to Three Men and a Baby, had the same cliched third act. Kidnap a family member, tense rescue sequence slash action sequence at the end. And then furthermore, this movie simply falls completely to pieces at the end. At the end, everyone betrays everybody else, and you just have a mess of this guy shooting that guy shooting that guy, this group of people are shooting that group of people. And the movie was supposed to be about three sides. And in the last 20 minutes of the movie, you've got to have about six different sides of, I'm going to betray this guy, that guy's going to betray that guy. The final act of this movie is just mud. It's just so muddy. Nobody's on anybody else's side, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work as a plot twist. It doesn't work as a plot device. It's not even confusing. It's just dumb. Um, so my score for this movie is a 2.5, but the action is so good when it's not shaky cam that if you're in the mood for an action movie, it may come across as a three. It's watchable. But if you're not in the mood for, if you demand some level of a plot or not so much of a bunch of cliches coming right at you, then it's got to go down to a two. I'm on the edge on this one. This is another movie that makes me want to start actually giving half stars. But for me, I'm gonna finally say this movie is. The more I think about it, it's a two. So there you go.